excited because I've got a scholar on my channel, and he's shares some insight has had scholarship for a master's degree as well as a PhD. And I'll leave him to introduce himself, to tell us, all that he wants us to know about him. And then we'll proceed with some key questions, which I believe most people out there are looking for answers. So I've got David with me today. I believe you can all see him. And David, can you tell us about yourself?
My name is David Aluga. I'm a PhD student at Trinity College, Dublin. My background is pharmacy, and I have a master's degree in public health. Thank you.
All right, David, thanks so much. So David will be sharing insights into how to obtain scholarship, how to search for scholarships. He did a lot of work himself. I believe most people out there are looking for scholarship opportunities. Some people are struggling with even agents and a whole lot. But David is going to share his experience with us and answer some questions, which I believe would signpost most of us out there looking for opportunities. So David, from your perspective, can you walk us through the process of identifying and applying for master's scholarships? So we'll start with the master's. Yeah.
Okay. Thank you for that question. I think the most important thing when it comes to identifying and applying for scholarships is the desire or passion for education or for further studies. If you have a first degree or you have a first master's and you want an additional master's, or a first degree and you want to go for postgraduate studies, and it's a priority to you, then you develop the interest for applying for scholarships, especially if you know that you don't have a means of funding it yourself. So scholarships are an avenue for people to fund further studies, whether it's masters or any other studies. So if there is a desire to go for further studies and you don't have a means, or you are not buoyant enough to pay for it out of pocket, then it's good that you explore scholarship opportunities. And there are different platforms containing different types of scholarships. Those scholarships are usually linked to certain requirements. So some scholarships tend to emphasize, your contribution to your community. Some emphasize, leadership. Some emphasize, disability, or or access to resources, maybe by the virtue of your socioeconomic class. So there are different things that scholarships are looking at, and it's important that you know which fits into your own particular situation, and you explore in that direction.
Okay, thanks for sharing that. So, for you, what motivated you to pursue, a scholarship, both for masters and PhD yourself? What was your motivation?
Okay, I think my motivation is the desire to learn and the desire to advance academically or career-wise. People go for further studies for different reasons. Some just want to acquire more qualifications. Some want to add more knowledge. Some want, to advance career-wise. But I think the desire to add more knowledge and advance in my career are two key things that motivated me to go for scholarships. And my journey in search of scholarships began way back from my secondary school, not just during my master's degree, from my secondary school, because I could remember there was a teacher that organized like a scholarship, or let's say a workshop or a seminar for the graduating class, and I was part of that seminar. So that kind of sensitized me to be to observe and be sensitive to scholarship opportunities and inquire about scholarship opportunities. So from my first year in pharmacy school, I kind of began looking for scholarships. And lucky enough, I was able to get a number of those scholarships. In my undergraduate level, because by the time I was graduating, I had like the highest number of scholarship in my faculty. I had like 5 different scholarships that I
Wow.
have benefited from in pharmacy school. So that, gave me an understanding that scholarship is a way, to ease the, financial burden that you may
Mm.
have in the course of your study. So when I finished, my degree and did my internship and I was serving in Nigeria, I stayed with people that are also thinking towards that line. And I began exploring for scholarship opportunities because I thought about advancing and going further in my studies. And that was
Mm.
why I came across the Commonwealth Scholarship and I applied and began the process. So this is just a summary of my journey in identifying and applying for scholarships, I would say.
All right, that's really helpful, David, for sharing these with us. So you talked about the fact that you started even way back in secondary school. So that's really impressive. Did you employ any strategies to stand out among other applicants, would you
Okay.
say? Mm.
I think one thing about scholarship is the need for you to be prepared at all times, right? And preparation is not something that you just start one day and you finish. It's something that you plan ahead. So if you are applying for scholarships, you know that they are looking at certain requirements. So you work towards getting those requirements before applying, because
Mm.
when you're filling the application form, those informations that you put are the things that will be used to evaluate your applications and determine how you are being graded. And usually they look at a lot of things when you know they evaluate applications. People tend to confuse the fact that if you have uh, good grades, it means scholarship is automatic, but it doesn't always work that way. Good grades is just one of the indicators or the parameters they look at. They can be looking at previous leadership positions or contributions, maybe involuntary contributions to community development. They could be looking at publications. They could be looking at community service. They could be looking at a lot of things that contribute your overall evaluation and how well you compete when you apply for those scholarships. So you need to prepare. You need to put all these requirements in order. Your transcripts, your certificates, your documents, everything that is required to be submitted, your reference letters, statement of purpose or personal statement, your ACEs, all of these have to be well prepared and they are, you know, at hand for you to submit when it needs to. Just recently, someone was applying for a scholarship, contacted me. I helped him, to review his CV, his essays, and think and some documents also. And later on, he made an error while submitting a transcript. He submitted a transcript that didn't contain a master's transcript that didn't contain his thesis result, and that was how he was disqualified. So when you're applying for scholarship, you have to be very careful and ensure that all these things are, in the right condition and in the correct form that is needed. If they require you to translate your documents into a particular language, ensure that you are using recognized and valid translators. If they need to evaluate your transcript, maybe by recognized evaluators like the World Education Service or any evaluators, ensure that it's being done the right way, because missing any of these things can result to your disqualification. Maybe your references were not sent by your referees on time, or you submitted the references the wrong way. Instead of using official emails, you use private or personal emails. These are the things that can be you know hindrances, or
Mm.
can lead to the results that you don't expect when you apply for scholarship. So you have to be careful that these requirements are all met and are not just met, but they are met in the correct way and the correct order, so that you don't put yourself at disadvantage.
All right, David, thank you so much. You shared valuable, thoughts and insights on how you went through everything. I'm even jotting down some notes as well, because you've highlighted very, very key points. Everyone thinks that, oh, if you topped your class while you were in school, you are eligible for a scholarship, and some people think that, oh, they didn't have good grades, so they think they are not eligible at all. But you have really highlighted to viewers out there that, in fact, there are various criteria. So people should, look out for the eligibility criteria, should research more. And I think everyone could, find something out there for him or herself when it comes to scholarship. So thank you very much for sharing that. So, are you able to tell us, aside, you mentioned about, school when you got to find out about some scholarships and things like that. Are there any other resources or support systems that helped you find scholarships? Are there maybe some websites? We are not promoting any websites or anything here, but for you, did you find any other particular resources key to find various scholarships out there?
Okay, there are platforms, of course, and there are
Mm,
websites and there are blogs that tend to promote scholarships, fellowship, and other opportunities, academic or job opportunities. So it's important that you're conversant and knowledgeable about how you navigate on such platforms and search for opportunities. You know,
mm,
opportunities don't most times don't come and meet you, you know, lying on your bed. You have to go out there, whether online or physically, and ask or inquire about them. And you can do that by visiting some of these websites. Some of them allow for subscription, like you can subscribe to them and then they will be sending you updates directly to your mailbox. And the moment the opportunity is open, you'll be notified and you can go and look through and see if it's something you would like to apply. So subscribing to such platforms and also going to such websites and searching for opportunities are important way. You can also follow people on social media like Twitter or LinkedIn that share opportunities.
yeah.
Like there are some opportunities that may not be found on those platforms, but people share it on social media. And when you
Mm,
follow people that share such opportunities, you'll be able to see it and inquire further and apply if you need to apply. So there is no like one-stop shop where all the opportunities are found, but
yeah.
there are some platforms and websites that are robust and they tend to contain a lot of opportunities on 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 the platforms, and there are others that may not be as comprehensive as that. So you may need to visit a lot of places for you to
Okay.
really have a grasp or a full picture of the opportunities out there. So just mentioning one platform will not be enough.
Yeah.
Like if you're looking for opportunities in the UK, most of them are advertised in jobs.ac.uk. That's where the education opportunities are advertised. But there are opportunities you may not find on that platforms. You can find in platforms like findaphd.com or any other academic platforms. Like some are African-based platforms, some are global-based platforms. There are several of them. So going to one of them may not be enough. You may need to consult a number of them and also make inquiries, follow the relevant people online, and these are the ways you can, you know, get to know about these opportunities and apply for them.
Yeah. Okay, thanks, David. Yeah, so you mentioned following the relevant people online and, broadening your scope and search for scholarships. So, those of you watching out there, this is one of the platforms where you find information on scholarships, on courses, things like that. I do also signpost people to places where they can find information. David has mentioned some websites as well, which I'll be dropping in the description and comment section below. I'll also be sharing David's LinkedIn profile name and details in the description area. So you can also follow him on LinkedIn just to see how, he's progressing with his journey. He shares valuable insights on his LinkedIn platform as well. So do well to have a look at his LinkedIn profile, follow him, and you may get some opportunities someday. Um, yeah, so David, the big question most people have, the personal statement. I know lots of people out there, really struggle, look for help to write a compelling personal statements or essay for scholarship applications. What are your thoughts on personal statements? Can you share, some insights into how to write a compelling one and the importance of a personal statement?
Okay. Personal statement or statement of purpose and other accompanying essays are an opportunity for the selection panel or the reviewers to get to know you better. There are some things that are not stated on your transcripts, on the document you submitted, including your CVs, that you will want the reviewers or the evaluators to know so that they can take into consideration when they are reviewing your documents for the scholarship. And statement on purpose, personal statement, and this CV is an opportunity for you to sell yourself and tell them those things. It's like an elevator speech of a thing, because when they are reviewing your documents and assessing you, you are not there. You don't even know when it's happening. Nobody will be speaking for you there apart from those documents. So whatever you need to say that will make you stand out, ensure that it's captured by these documents. Usually personal statement or statement of purpose seems to be like similar or the same thing. It's about selling yourself. It's about telling the reviewers or the selection panel who you are and what makes you stand out. What are the things that make you stand out from the crowd? Because in terms of just looking at academic grades, that is not enough. Because there may be people that have even better grade or the same grade with you. So if they are just evaluating based on grade, they may as well just give the person with the highest grade. But that's not the only requirement. So personal statement and statement of purpose is an opportunity for you to have an extra edge above other people. So if you have particular skills you want to highlight, personal statement or statement of purpose is an opportunity for them to know you as a person, the skills you have, your experiences, right? Your achievements, your accomplishments. These are the things you should be mentioning in your personal statement. What roles have you occupied, and contributed positively? In what ways have you contributed in making a difference, whether in research, whether in academia, whether in your job? So you mention those things and try and give examples and be specific as much as possible to, giving them the facts so that they will know that you are someone that is result oriented and, someone that is not just part of the crowd. So it's an opportunity for you to sell yourself. So ensure that you maximize the opportunity. Most times they ask about maybe things about your research experience. If you have taken an internship, maybe in a research institute, or you are part of a laboratory that conducted a research and you contributed to that research, mention it. And mention in specific ways you have contributed and what was the outcome of that contribution, right? So mention it. If you're applying for, a research position, for example, they want to know in what ways you have contributed, into the research community, right? So you can mention the fact that you work with a particular professor and you are given a responsibility to achieve certain targets. Mention the target and what were the results of your efforts. So the CVs, the transcripts, and the document you submit are not enough. Those essays and personal statement are an opportunity for the reviewers to get to know you better as a person. Because grade will not tell them everything about you. And it's not just about mentioning about your strengths. You can also, give reasons for any weaknesses or justification that are noticeable from your application. For example, if they say the CGPA of at least 4.0 and you have 3.9 or 3.9 something, you can, in your personal statement, you can explain why you ended up with that. It may be maybe because you fell sick in school and you couldn't really prepare for certain examination in a particular semester and that affected you. You can mention it because they will not know why if you don't mention it, they can never know why you had 3.9. So they'll be evaluating you as everyone else. But if you tell them a particular challenge that you faced that made you end up with that particular score, that's an extra knowledge, and they will be more considerate when they are evaluating you. So those things are not stated on your transcript, so you need to mention them, right? If there is like something missing in your CV, probably for some particular number of years you were out of job, tell them why that place was blank on your CV. Let's say for 2 years you didn't have, there was a 2-year blank in your work experience. So how can you justify that blank without explaining? It may be probably you had an accident and you were incapacitated, you couldn't get a job, or something happened, lives happen, or you were in school or doing some particular program or training and you couldn't work at the same time. You need to explain yourself. So things that are not well stated, or they are not clearly stated on your CV and transcript, personal statement is an opportunity for you to explain so that the reviewers will know that this is why such things happen to you and why your application is in a particular state. So apart from mentioning your strength, try and mention or explain why there is deficiencies in one way or the other in your application so that the reviewers understand and evaluate you from that standpoint. Yeah.
Okay, yeah, that's really good. This is one key thing I have noted from this, because from what you shared, because most people out there just think, oh, I'm just highlighting my strengths. I'm just saying I can do this, I can do that. Some people even go as far as talking about things they can't really do. But you've really brought out, some important elements, like even bringing up some deficiencies and explaining, because we are all human. For all you know, that alone can appeal to the panel to select you. So thank you so much for sharing that. I believe that's a really, really good point you made there. So let's talk about interviews. Did you have any interviews, for any of the scholarships that you applied for? And if you did, can you share some of the experiences you had? Any lessons maybe you want to share with people out there for interviews?
Okay. With respect to interviews, a number of scholarships I've applied from my undergraduate level require that you write some tests, written tests, and then some will also require some form of interviews. But for my master's, the only interview I did was the English interview, which was like a requirement for admission and not the scholarship per se. But when you're progressing to higher levels like PhD, interviews almost become compulsory. So you can't escape it. In one way or the other, you will find out that you are faced with an interview. It may not be a scholarship interview, it may be admission, it may be job. There may be some slight differences, but the essence or the core will be like the same. When you're approaching interviews, this is just some kind of an overview of how you approach interview. All the questions you'll be asked in interview, generally, whether it's scholarship interview, whether it's job interview, or any other similar interviews, all the questions you'll be asked are classified into 3 types. And the moment they ask you a question and you know which class that question belongs to, you will be able to formulate an answer, a suitable answer to the interviewers, to the satisfaction of the interviewers, rather. So, any question you are asked in an interview usually falls into one of these 3 categories. Number 1 is the experience question. Number 2 is the behavioral question or the behavior question. And number 3 is the knowledge or technical question. So the moment a question is asked, you should know what type the question is and you'll be able to answer. because you kind of answer it in different ways. A knowledge or technical questions is probably the easiest form to answer because it's demanding from your knowledge, theoretical knowledge or technical knowledge of that particular subject or job, right? For example, they ask you about a particular procedure or a process, that you can answer theoretically or technically. You answer. If you're asked, what is a particular solvent that can dissolve a particular substance. These are theoretical and knowledge-based questions, right? So if you ask a question, it can fall into this category, or they ask you to define something. Let's say you are asked to define a qualitative study. You can define it and give examples. These are theory or knowledge-based questions. But the second category of question is the experience question. When you are asked an experience question, they are not asking for your knowledge about that thing. They're asking or demanding from your experience. They want to know if you have experience of using that thing or being in that situation. So an experience question wants to know if you have the necessary experience that is required for the job or for the study. For example, if there is a particular skill that is required to conduct research, let's say in using a particular instrument, technical instrument, maybe like a spectroscopy skill or any technical skills in biological, techniques, the skill that comes from experience, you could be asked about it. They may ask you about experience question like the use of a particular procedure or equipment or applying a technique. So they're asking of your experience, not knowledge. So in that situation, if you are giving them, theoretical answers, you will be shooting yourself in the leg because that's not what they're asking for. And the last category, which is the third category of question you'll be asked in an interview, is the behavioral question. A behavioral question wants to know how you respond in certain situations. For example, if you're angry, or if you're upset, or if you are in a particular mood, how will you respond? There was a question I was asked during my PhD interview that was a behavioral question. And it has to do with how you respond if your supervisor keeps correcting your work. Let's say you did a work and then they say you didn't do it well and there was correction. You went back and redo it and you came back and then they kept correcting you, going back and forth. How will you respond? So if you start giving them theoretical answer and they said that person stated in such research, that's not what they're asking for, right? They are asking of your behavior. And the way you answer it is this. For experience and behavioral question, you answer them the same way. You answer them by giving your experience. For example, if they ask you how you behave in a certain situation, don't be giving them theoretical answer. Give them an example of a situation where a similar thing happened to you and how you responded to that thing. Probably you can say, in my undergraduate research, my supervisor, did certain things, along that line. And this is how I handle it. And this was what the result was. That was an experience that you had, not a theory you were taught in class. You don't explain it away with a theory. Wow. If they're asking about your experience using a technique, don't be telling them, theoretical answer of how a particular machine operates. Have you used it before? Don't tell me how it operates. Have you used the particular machine? There are people that know the theory about driving cars, but if you ask, have you driven a car before? They have never. So that's what they want to know. So They want to know if you have driven a car, not that you know how a car works or how a car is
Mhm.
being driven. That is what an experience question is. A behavioral question, they want to know how you respond, not in theory, but in reality. So give them experience of how you respond. So you answer experience and behavioral question the same way by giving your experience. A technical or knowledge based question, you answer it theoretically,
Mm,
right? Which is
mhm.
something that if you have the knowledge and the technical skills and you are well trained, you should be able to respond in it. For example, as a pharmacist, if they ask me, what is a particular drug used to treat malaria, or what is a particular drug used to treat an infection, I should be able to tell what the drug is. That's like a technical or knowledge question. I
Yeah.
shouldn't start telling them, there was a time I had that sickness and then I was sick, I was taking no, that's not what they want. They are asking of a knowledge or a technical, so answer it that way. But if they're asking me how I'll respond in a particular situation, I shouldn't be telling them theoretically. So you must know how to maneuver these things, and all the questions you'll be asked in the interview fall into this category. And the moment you're able to identify it, you will know how to respond to it. So that's just a strategy you can apply it to be more effective in an interview.
Mm. This is absolutely helpful, really. Knowledge and technical questions, and there's also the experience and behavioral questions. I hope you have all found this, very enlightening. Knowing how to answer the questions, really. Thanks for sharing that from your experience, David. Now let's go to the subject, I think most people out there will want to hear more about setbacks and rejections. What are your
Yeah.
thoughts on these two major topics when it comes to scholarship applications?
Okay. Most people I know that have been successful in applying for scholarship, including myself, have applied more scholarships than they got. Hmm? So
Mm,
it's not common to see someone just getting it in the first app, especially if it's a competitive scholarship. It's not, you know, so easy to like get it in your first. There are people that were able to get it in the first attempt, but more people got it when they applied, subsequently or when they had multiple attempts. For my undergraduate scholarships, I would say that I got most of the scholarship I interviewed for. I got most of them. But for my master's scholarship, the Commonwealth scholarship in particular, I applied to many schools. And most of the schools I applied didn't shortlist me, right? So you need to have this idea that not all your applications, you have to have it at the back of your mind, right? That not all your applications will end up successful.
mm,
So when you receive rejection, it does not deter you, it doesn't discourage you from applying the next opportunity when it comes. There are people that apply the same scholarship like 3 times before they got. What about if they gave up after the first or second time? That means they will have never gotten those scholarships. One thing rejection does is it helps you reflect and see how you can, you know, be better and strengthen your application when you have the next opportunity.
mm,
Scholarships like a Commonwealth scholarships and other scholarships are a yearly thing. So they tend to receive applications and award the scholarships on a yearly basis. So if you miss it this year, doesn't mean that you will never get it. It
mm,
means you can actually take the opportunity between that period until the next round of application to improve upon yourself and your applications and your skills so that when it opens, you have a chance to submit a stronger application. So don't allow failure or failing or having an undesirable outcome from your applications to deter you. Failure itself is not final. Failure is an event, is not a destination. So don't make it
mm,
a destination. It's an event that happened like every other event, and everybody will move on and lives his or her life. So I have received a lot of rejection. I have received more rejections than acceptance, to be honest. And
mm,
this is a common story among most scholarship applicants that were successful. The most important trait is not giving up, right? And when you
mm,
don't give up, the next time, don't just submit the same application, improve upon your application. because the better the application you have, the better your chance. See ways you can improve your application. You can, co-author a research with someone else, or volunteer in a laboratory research and ended up being one of the co-authors. You can take on voluntary positions or get more work experience. You can contribute in positive ways in your community. And these are things you can include in your next applications that make it stronger and strengthen your
Yeah.
application and gives you a better chance of being successful. So don't
Yeah.
allow failure of one kind or the other discourage you from applying the next time. So that's what I have to say.
Okay, David, thank you so much for sharing all this, useful information. You have touched on the need to stay resilient throughout the scholarship application process because yes, it's a tedious one. I know people have to answer loads and loads of questions, write loads and loads of essays. It is definitely not easy, but we just need to keep pushing if we really want to achieve the success that we hope for. So thank you so much, David. David, you have really talked at length, and I'm so, so grateful. I'm so happy, to host you today. I believe everyone out there listening has definitely picked up a thing or two. If you have learned something, please comment in the section below. Let us know your thoughts about what you think, the key messages that you have picked from today's conversation with David. If you have questions as well, you can also put them there, and at some point we'll see how best we can answer them. So, David, what will be your take-home message? I know you've talked at length, but if you can just highlight a few points, and then for viewers out there, key messages that you want everyone out there to take from
Okay,
today.
I think a key message I would like everyone to take on today is the need to establish valuable networks and relationships with others, because you never know, in what ways they can be of assistance to you. It may
Mm,
be in, sharing opportunities with you, helping to review your applications, assisting you in one way or the other in your application journey. So try as much as possible to network and establish, positive relationships with people that you can, bank on when the need arises. So I
mm,
think that's key, because there are people that have passed through the same journey
yeah.
and they can make it easier for you if you want. But most times we tend to kind of want to do it all by ourselves so that we'll take all the glory. But the most important thing is for you to be successful in your applications. So if you can have someone that can assist you probably to review it or to guide you in your application to look at your documents or your essays, why not approach them politely and ask them if they can, volunteer and assist you in that way. So if you feel, you know, you need any form of assistance, there are a lot of people that are willing to help, you know, people with track record of successful applications, scholarships applications, that have, gone ahead to won several scholarships. They can
Mm,
look at your application and tell you where you need to improve, whether it's your CV, whether, is your essay, your personal statement, or statement of purpose, or in any way, probably you need to look for better referees or the right referees. These are things that you can look at and advise you. So establish relationships and network. And some of them will even mention opportunities. Some of them share it on their social media handle. And from there, who knows? That may be your miracle. So I will advise each and everyone that is willing and is an active search for
mm.
scholarship opportunities to network and establish such relationships. That is my final word for today.
All right. Thank you so much, David. I don't take this for granted at all. As you've probably gathered from today's meeting and conversation with David, David has won multiple scholarship awards. He is a role model for a lot of people out there. And I'm happy to even know him, to network with him and learn a lot from him as well. I'll be sharing his LinkedIn profile details in the description and comment section. So do follow him on LinkedIn. I've learned a lot. I don't know if you've picked up anything at all, but I believe you've definitely obtained, a wealth of information from all that he said today. So do well to network with him. Do well to network with others out there. Continue to subscribe, like my videos, and also stay tuned because I'll be bringing up other conversations with other key people just like David out there who are doing well so we can learn and pick up a thing or two from them. So, David, thank you very, very much. I do appreciate your time. I know you're very busy, but you still made time for us to have a chat with you today. Thank you very much. And viewers, I'll see you in my next video.